Welcome to This Just In with This Just In as your host, Justin Core. This is a show where we take a deeper dive into the stories most important to you with the people who bring you those stories. We call them our correspondents. Get it? Today, our correspondent, Aspen Shumpert. Aspen, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me again.
Really appreciate it. We're going to talk about growing schools and sort of keeping up with that growth and what it means for taxpayers. But first, we're also going to test your Jaialdi knowledge. I know you're worried about that.
I am.
You don't have to be. I'm going to take it easy on you. First, though, really, I think one of the most big sort of talker stories, as we might call them, of maybe even the past month. A wedding for sale.
Definitely. Yes.
Aspen, what is going on here?
Well, a couple from Eagle is selling tickets to their wedding to help avoid the debt that comes with paying for a wedding. Okay. Not wanting to be in debt the first season of their marriage. Yeah. So they're doing it their own way, you could say. And they just went for it, and they've really been, I don't want to say promoting, but showcasing what they've been doing, how they've been putting it together on social media, which is where we saw it.
Yes, understood. So I have a lot of questions, but first...
Brian said the same thing when this aired on the 208.
Well, he doesn't have his own... Well, I guess he does have his own show, but I have my own show where I can just ask you whatever I want. We're going to do that. First, though, we're going to take a look at your piece on this.
That's a big box. That's bigger than I thought it would come in.
For Marley Jacks and Steve Larson, it's another day of final planning just a week ahead of their wedding.
I always knew she was my person, but after coming out of a divorce, I was very timid about the topic of marriage.
Meeting Steven was like, I didn't know a love like this could exist.
After their engagement on New Year's Day this year, they quickly got to planning their special day.
Do we want to elope? Do we want to have a small thing? Do we want to have a big thing?
People are like, I want to come. And we're like, yes, 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 uh-oh, yes, yes.
But the cost became top of mind.
I made a post on Facebook saying, oh my gosh, we just got this quote, and one of the things on it was $650 just for the cake cutting fee. And then I made another post saying, people should just sell tickets to their wedding.
What started as a joke.
There was like a week there where we were like, holy cow, are we actually doing this?
Quickly turned into a plan on how to avoid debt their first season of marriage.
Financial strain is the #1 cause of conflict in a marriage.
So now they're not just counting the days until they say I do, they're also counting the number of ticket sales.
Instead of buying a toaster or bringing a gift, it's like pay for your seat at the table, and then the couple gets to create an experience.
One of the questions we've had of people who kind of pushed back was, you're charging your family to show up? Like, no. Like, when it's family or some, absolutely not.
But for everyone else, the ticket price helps cover the costs of the venue and dinner.
Some people love it, some people hate it. We know that there's a lot of people who've been offended by it, but once we start explaining it, they're like, that actually makes sense.
The couple, who has a career on putting on events and marketing, is offering different packages. People can buy a $57 ticket just to attend the wedding, or almost $1,000 for the VIP package.
It's also a $997 VIP offer, and that includes a whole weekend. We actually turn it into a 3-day thing. We're bringing in experts, relationship experts, best-selling authors, doctors, therapists, and we're gonna have like a relationship day.
But it isn't just about avoiding debt. Any money left over is going to the couple's favorite charity.
How do we bring it back to being about it takes a village? And our favorite charity is actually called Village Impact. We went to Kenya with them 2 years ago and helped them build a school. And we're like, what if we bring them into the wedding too?
Their goal is to raise between $50,000 and $100,000 for the charity.
It costs $15,000 to build a classroom in Kenya. And so, just one classroom would be amazing, but I think that we could do a lot more.
They believe this just might be the beginning to a new trend.
Our plan after this is to teach people how to do it, and I hope it becomes normal the way that like Uber and Airbnb was crazy until it became the norm.
A thing, yeah.
First off, I love the cat in the background of those
interviews.
Yes.
Yes.
A new
kitten. They had just got him recently.
If you didn't notice it, go back and watch it. First just pawing at the plant, then the next shot you see the plant shaking, then like tapping at the door like, I've eaten plant.
It's candid. It was what was going on in their house that day.
Delightful. Okay, Aspen, again, a lot of questions here. First, would you buy tickets at $57 a pop to a stranger's wedding?
I don't know if I would buy them to a stranger's wedding.
Okay.
But if hypothetically maybe one of my friends was going to go with this idea, the reasoning of like, we don't need another toaster. Like this couple, they already live together, right? They don't need a toaster. Their house is already furnished. So some of those things that people like to buy as wedding gifts, maybe just spend the $57 and help them avoid debt. Like it makes sense to me. Now for a stranger, I probably wouldn't attend a stranger's wedding.
So, okay. And I'm sure you've attended weddings before. I've done a few. Had one myself, no big deal. But if that's the case, if you're just like, man, we don't need like another toaster, we don't need a duvet cover or a third one, why not just sort of create like a wedding or even a honeymoon fund where it's like, hey, you're coming, you're invited, but donate however much money you want to this fund so that we don't have to go broke getting married.
Yeah, and I think that would be the more streamlined idea if it was trying to avoid the debt, but for this couple it kind of turned into way more. And they are marketers of their own, they put on events of their own, so I then think it turned into wanting to do something they like to do, which is throw events and then open it up to the public and make it this whole event, which is where we get to the $1,000 package.
And I'll get to that in a second. All right, let's go right to it. And yeah, it does seem like they're taking this opportunity to sort of grow the brand. And I'm guessing they were glad probably that it got going on social media, that people started talking about it. It's like, hey, now more and more people sort of know our names and attach us to events and thinking outside the box. Let's talk about that VIP level.
3-day package.
Just shy of $1,000.
Just shy of $1,000. Again, wanting to put on an experience. So for them, it's kind of like this relationship retreat the first day. Then you attend the wedding the second day. The third day is like recovery day. Like cold plunges and sound baths and those types of things.
Gotcha.
Which you could say is an experience.
It is certainly an experience. They talked about sort of the networking part of it as well. I mean, like, hey, other movers and shakers are going to be here.
Yeah. Also for them, who are influencers, who have a pretty good following, I think it was also a way for their friends who are also influencers and people that have followed them for years to maybe be somehow involved with
collab on
this week or that day, you know. So for them, I think the attendance list was long and they were like, we should just charge $57. And then it snowballed into all of these businesses and people wanting to then come into the experience, and it then turned into like, okay, let's put this 3-day thing on.
Gotcha. And there's like sponsorships as well, like for the program, stuff like that.
The cake.
Is it going to be like NASCAR where they have sponsorships like on the tux and the bridal ground?
This is funny because I did ask. I alluded to, you know, like at what level it is your special day. Like, does it just, you know, be about you guys? And they said they created this like small little bubble of like, there's certain things we don't want to like be touched per se on that day, of like not going over the top, not making it dramatic, like trying to enjoy the day. But
like vows.
Right.
Like these vows brought to you by Pennzoil.
Yes. So they have this small bubble of things that they are keeping sacred to like still make it a special day.
Gotcha.
But they are the type of people that kind of want to share it with everyone.
Yeah.
And including strangers. Anyone can still buy tickets. It's this weekend.
That's right. If you're watching this before the actual date, we're just about a day away now. Does the $57 include drinks?
I believe it includes drinks.
Whoa.
The $57 was to help cover the cost of the venue, the cost of the food, which I feel like the drinks are lumped into that.
Okay. That's not bad then.
No,
honestly,
it's not.
For $57 for a meal, you know, night of dancing, you get kind of an experience and a performance, a show. You get to be a part of that, and drinks.
Yeah. I mean,
Could do worse.
I think I'm going to like 3 weddings this summer season, one of which, obviously, you probably know, one of our coworkers. Mm-hmm. And I think I spent more than $57 on a gift for them. Yeah. So the 57, not crazy. The 1,000 3-day thing, now it's a little different than just paying the debt for your wedding, you know?
I continue to have more and more questions as we talk. So you pay the $57 for the ticket. Do you then are you also expected to get them a gift?
No.
Okay.
Nope. Not expected to get them a gift. They don't want any gifts. They really just want everyone there. And
the profit goes to a charity.
Yeah.
So
any
awesome.
money left over does go to their favorite charity where they've gone and spent time with them, which is a charity that builds schools for students in Kenya, and they've actually gone and done that with that group before.
Cool.
So they've brought them in on that as well. They want to emphasize it's not about making a profit for them. They're just trying to not go broke, have some fun, and their goal is to give at least $50,000 to $100,000 to that nonprofit. So
wow, fantastic. Now, again, I also had my own wedding, and we just sort of chose to not go broke. That did require us to do certain things, like that cake cutting fee.
Yes,
girl,
is that
when I heard
true?
about that, yeah, it's 100% true. So
$650 to cut a cake?
Yeah, that's right. So
like staff to cut the cake for everyone.
Yeah. It's like cutting and serving.
This is why people just need to do like cupcakes.
That's exactly what we did, Aspen. So these are things you can do sort of on your own to save some money.
Awesome.
You know, ours, I can share this, ended up being about $5,000, but we brought in an officiant. We had it catered. We had it out at the botanical gardens, and someone provided tables and all that. So, but I don't think you could do that for $5,000 nowadays. No. It feels like it would be 3 or 4 times that, which is price of like a lightly used car, and that's way too much to be spending on your special day to start your marriage in debt. All right. They say this could become the norm.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
If it's stuck to just the day of wedding thing,
yeah,
maybe.
Sure.
Right. I think in the package we heard the couple say like, well, you used to think it was weird to like sleep in a stranger's house. Now Airbnb is normal. Or you used to think it was weird to have a stranger drive you. Now Uber is the mainstream way people get around. So I don't know if it's going to become the new norm. I think people might take it up.
Yeah.
I mean, $57.
$57.
I would want to know, like, how much that would help if it was $57. And, of course, depends on, like, how you plan your wedding.
Yeah, right.
But, I mean, no one wants to be in debt.
Yes, weddings
But I don't know
expensive.
because, just historical, like, typical standard. Like, that's not the standard.
Yeah.
To, like, make your guests pay. But I don't know. It's not that terrible of an idea.
Yeah, I think in the end, hey, it's your day.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you do this with your wedding?
I don't know. I think I would go for the honeymoon fund. Like, I would say I also don't need any gifts. Like,
yeah. But
donate
that
if you
gift
want.
is money.
Right. Exactly. Like, I think I would probably go that route versus putting a standard, like $57 ticket to the wedding.
Ticket. Yeah. Absolutely.
But I would welcome the donations for sure.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. If you got hot takes on these wedding tickets, I want to hear them. Send them to 208-321-5614, #JustIN. Aspen back with us after this with how a local school district is trying to handle growth. We're back to talk about how the Vallivue School District is handling their incredible growth. We're going to take a look at Aspen Shumpert's piece on this and then talk to her on the other side.
The growth over the last few years has taken its toll on our classroom sizes with our student-to-teacher ratios.
Caught between the growing cities of Nampa and Caldwell sits the Vallivue School District.
We're just having to do a whole lot of shifting.
Vallivue Assistant Superintendent Joey Palmer says as farmland continues to be converted into developments, the district's enrollment keeps climbing.
When you love your community, you want to take care of your community, but it's also difficult whenever it seems like the growth doesn't have any end in sight.
Back in 2023, the school district turned to voters, passing nearly a $80 million bond to build 2 new elementary schools. 2 years later, both schools are set to open fall of 2024, Warhawk Elementary School and Falcon Ridge Elementary School.
We're absolutely thrilled and grateful that we have 2 schools coming online to help alleviate a lot of the stress that comes in a classroom full of students and not a whole lot of manpower teaching-wise.
Palmer says having the 2 schools will help alleviate some of the overcrowding at the other elementary schools in the district.
Those schools were built for around 700 students per building, and those were both pushing 900 students on average.
But Palmer says this will only solve the problem temporarily.
Skyway Elementary, which was brand new in 2016-17, we were thrilled that we were able to build that school and alleviate the overcrowding at that time. But guess what? Skyway Elementary is overcrowded. So we're repeating history all over again, where we're building 2 elementary schools, and then we're going to say, at least we're sitting pretty for now.
He worries if growth continues, voters may not support funding the construction of more schools.
Voters are feeling the burnout. Although we got 72% voter approval to build these 2 schools, we also receive a lot of feedback at the district office saying, hey, how come developers aren't paying their fair share?
He says a better long-term solution may lie in the hands of Idaho lawmakers.
Take a look at adding school districts as entities that could take impact fees from developers, just like they do in all the other states.
Or local government stepping in, like the Middleton City Council, who passed an ordinance in 2024 prohibiting developments that would put schools over a certain level of capacity.
If they did something, it doesn't have to be exactly what Middleton's doing, but if they did think creatively outside of the box, short of legislation saying, hey, impact fees need to be a thing for school districts, for developers to pay, it would be great if they came together and put their heads together and tried to find a way.
So again, the critical element here, Aspen, these multi-million-dollar schools that they're building and set to open, they're actually only a short-term solution.
Right, and that's because the growth keeps happening, students keep coming in, and the schools that they're building, they're not really trying to play catch up, but it's kind of too late by the time they need to do that again, which is what we're seeing with the Vallivue School District.
Are district leaders then working on another bond? It seems like they may need one.
Yeah, I think that will be on the table maybe in the next few years, as they just asked voters for one.
Yeah.
You heard him talk about voter fatigue. That is real. Yeah. And school districts are constantly going out and asking voters for help, whether that is supplemental levies to help fund other things, bonds, to help with facilities. I think it's on the table for them definitely in the next few years, but if voters don't pass it, this one that they passed in 2019, that took 2 tries.
Right.
So it might not go again in their favor this next time around.
Yeah. And that's a great point. I found that as well, that it's like it failed and then, barely passed just to sort of get them to catch up.
Yeah.
Then if they go to the voters again with their hand up, be like, hey, you got more money. Everything costs more nowadays.
Yep.
So a lot of taxpayers may be saying, no.
Totally.
No, not really. Middleton outright, as you said, just shut down growth that would overcrowd their schools. Sort of an extreme idea, but this also seems like an extreme problem.
Yeah. Middleton, same problem, overcrowding, using those portable classrooms in the back of their schools. That story I did with Middleton, I was like, okay, you need some more space. And Vallivue was doing the same thing, portable classrooms, until they got this levy to be able to build these new schools. And Middleton City Council kind of took it upon themselves to be like, let's figure out something. We're not going to approve projects that put our schools over a certain capacity.
Wow. And I grew up in West Ada. There was portables at every single school I went to because it was growing. And guess what? Growth really didn't slow down over the past few decades, not to date myself. You talked about how district leaders maybe are looking at schools being able to take money from impact fees. People, when I do Growing Idaho stories, they're like, why aren't developers paying their fair share? And developers do through impact fees, but
not to school districts.
Not to school districts.
And that's because that is how Idaho law is written.
Yeah.
So, that's been talked about in the legislature in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't been able to make any movement.
Right.
But school districts are pushing for it. We hear them talk about it all the time. That would kind of be maybe a step to help that if school districts could collect those fees. But we haven't been able to get that passed, which is why Middleton was like, okay, let's try to figure out something for our district to do.
We're just going to turn off the spigot.
Yeah.
Literally right next door to Vallivue is the Nampa School District
Yes.
that's actually shrinking. They have the opposite
Yeah,
problem.
totally.
They're having fewer and fewer students, and they're shutting down
Right.
schools. But they're literally right next door.
know.
What's going on?
Vallivue, sits between Caldwell and Nampa, but there's so much undeveloped land that they're feeling the growth right now because developers are coming in and wanting to build, where I think Caldwell and Nampa experienced that maybe several years ago.
Right.
Still experiencing to some extent, but way more land to build in Vallivue. And the thing about Vallivue is it sits between those two cities, both two councils. So it's also Middleton, Middleton City Hall, Middleton School District, where Vallivue, you got to have kind of two different jurisdictions come together and be
Right.
like, this could be something we do. For Nampa, they're shrinking. So that's almost their entire boundary. Doesn't make sense for Nampa to pass a growth ordinance to limit developments for, to not impact the school district as much. Maybe not, because they're not dealing with those overcrowding issues
Right,
in
yeah.
most of their boundary.
They have
Just kind of
different
that
problems.
sliver of Vallivue that is in the Nampa School District or Nampa City boundaries.
Yeah, they're in Nampa, they're in Caldwell, they're in Canyon County. Well,
Yeah.
really interesting problem. Thank you for being on it. Now, Aspen, it is Jaialdi
gosh.
time, so we're going to wrap up this Just In with Jaialdi Trivia. You'll do fine, maybe not, after this. It is Jaialdi time, and in honor of the Basque culture and my apparent quest to slowly transition into a game show host, we are going to ask Jaialdi Trivia of Aspen Shumpert. Aspen, you did a story on Jaialdi
Yeah.
and the Basque Block and the Basque people just yesterday. So some of the answers to these questions
gosh.
were in that report. So
Oh,
I think
okay.
you're going to do better
Okay.
than you think. And
Okay.
they're multiple choice. All right, 5 questions. Here we go. When was the first Jaialdi held here in Boise? 1903, 1975, 1987, or 2005? 03, 75, 87, or 05?
87?
Yeah, did it.
Yay!
Nice, fantastic. How often is Jaialdi held? Every year, every 3 years, every 5 years, or every 10 years?
Typically every 5, but we've had the 10-year dry spell because of pandemic. Woo!
Oh my gosh, extra credit. Not really, we don't give that here. A fronton is a place where during Jaialdi, people will be playing what Basque game? Football, pilota, bullfighting, or tennis? Again, a fronton, a place where during Jaialdi, people are going to be playing what Basque game? Football, or soccer, pilota, bullfighting, or tennis?
Okay, well, not bullfighting because that's not a game, right?
Well, it's not a game for the bull. They typically die at the end.
Football?
No. Pilota.
Okay, I almost went with that.
Yeah, it's like a handball type game. Sorry, I gave you a check mark. You got that
Well,
right.
you can
That's all
leave
right.
the check.
You're still doing great. 2 out of 3 so far. 2 more. Organizers estimate there's going to be how many people visiting for Jaialdi? It is an estimate, but 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, or about 35,000 people.
35,000
Nailed
people.
it. Okay, 3 for 4. Can you go 4 for 5? Can you get the final question? What is Dansaldi? What is Dansaldi? Is it a Basque burrito, a section of the Basque Block, a region of the Basque Country, or a Jaialdi concert Saturday night? Dansaldi.
Concert
Yeah!
Saturday.
Got it. Nailed it. You were so nervous. You went 4
Yeah,
for
I know.
5. Well done.
Well, I wish I got the one I got wrong.
You, It's all right. I'll cut it up to make it look like you got it right. Aspen, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
208, and a lot of us have coverage of Jaialdi all week. Yeah. It's a pretty big deal.
It is, yeah.
You ever been to it before?
No, this will be my first time because I only moved here 2 years ago. 10-year dry spell.
Gonna be awesome. Gonna be fun.
Yeah.
If you got any comments or questions or maybe Jaialdi stories you want to share with the public, maybe don't. 208-321-5614. Text us #JustIN. Aspen, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time on This Just In.